presentation about global warming. I'll be talking about these 5 main points. What is actually global warming? Is it just some random theory that someone invented, or is there more behind it? What's happening through global warming? For which countries is global warming bad? Which animals are affected by global warming? And last, but definitely not least, what can we do against global warming? So first, what is global warming? Global warming is basically the gradual increase of the Earth's temperature. That means that our overall temperature around the whole world, not at one place but everywhere, is increasing slowly but surely. And that's all caused by the so-called greenhouse effect. Now, what is a greenhouse effect and why is it called the greenhouse effect? You may know what a greenhouse is. Farmers use them to grow plants, vegetables, really anything that grows that's out of season. So something that you wouldn't be able to grow right now, for example in fall, they can grow that in a greenhouse. Why? Because the sunlight, it's called radiation, but I'm going to call it sunlight and heat, so it's easier for you to understand, shines through the greenhouse, the earth reflects some of the heat, and it goes back to the thick layer of plastic. But due to the thick layer of plastic that the greenhouses have, it traps the heat and it stays warm throughout the whole year. And so they can grow plants, vegetables that wouldn't be able to grow at that season. And that's what happens right here. Heat goes through our atmosphere, and we have in our atmosphere a thick layer of greenhouse gases. Now these are natural greenhouse gases that we have already in there, and they make sure that we can survive on planet Earth. They keep the warmth, so the heat goes through our atmosphere, the Earth reflects some of it, and the natural greenhouse gases hold some of it in, so we have a certain temperature throughout the whole year that we can survive. But we cause the problem by releasing too much greenhouse gases, and through the increase of these unnatural greenhouse gases, it traps too much heat, so heat goes again through our atmosphere, the Earth absorbs some of it, the rest goes back into space, and while it goes into space, the more greenhouse gases are in this layer, the more it traps, and the more comes back, and it heats our Earth up more and more. And through time, that can have devastating effects on our Earth, as you can imagine. This is all caused by human activities, such as carbon dioxide, which comes from burning gasoline, methane, which comes from raising cows to eat, because as they grow, they burp and fart, and that way they release methane. Also, other chemicals like nitrous oxide belong to these greenhouse gases. So what's happening through global warming? We know now the Earth's overall temperature is rising. That's first of all causing the atmosphere to get warmer. That causes more natural disasters to happen with more intense weather. But not only does our atmosphere get warmer, but also the oceans, the water. We know that's a big part of our Earth. So when that changes, things can go bad really quickly and have also dramatic effects. So it melts the ice in Greenland, North Pole, South Pole, Antarctica, and that causes sea level to rise. And many floods in many cities. This is in Florida. But not besides the effects with water and our air, also places that were dry before will now get even drier, of course. So, for example, places where farming was still possible will not be possible anymore, and they'll have to move northwards. In Florida, they've had wildfires, also due to the warmth, heat waves, and when it's so dry, that's the perfect recipe for wildfires. For which countries is global warming bad? Now, this might interest you, but it's not the way you might have thought. It's not like one country in particular. It has effects on all the countries around the whole world, as I said before, but it's really the ones that are affected most. It's definitely the worst for small island nations like the Maldives, and especially with no hills. So when sea level rises, not only the coastal regions get flooded, but also the whole island can get flooded. And that's a beautiful place where tourists like to go, has beautiful tourist attractions, and that would be very sad if the Maldives would be flooded in the near future. This is in Florida. This is now from Hurricane Irma, but also other small floods have happened, not only in Florida, it's mainly also around all coastal regions. So small island nations and basically all coastal regions, especially places that have a lot of people, for example, Shanghai, California, cities around there. Now there would be a lot of suffering, especially with a lot of people. So it tore down streets, houses, and that's lots of damage. It has to be rebuilt. Now, which animals are affected by global warming? Well, definitely the polar bears and the penguins. They both rely on ice for their habitats. So it's again not just a few animals that are affected by global warming. I just wrote down these because they're mostly affected by global warming. All feel some effects, but especially the animals that rely on ice and cold weather for their habitats. They need ice to hunt, to breed, and to rest. They also rest just like we do. And cold water fish belongs to the list. Why? Because even if the ocean's temperature rises just a little bit, they can't handle that anymore. They're especially made for cold water. Seabirds, of course, if they go extinct because if cold water fish die, they can't survive either. They rely on cold water fish to live. And reindeers, the beautiful animals we think of at Christmas, they also belong to that list because when it used to be very cold, the snow used to be very fluffy, and they would eat these plants and they could brush off the snow. But now due to global warming, it makes the snow more frosty, cold, wet, and it makes it so it covers the plants in a way that they can't reach them anymore, and it causes starvation. And they've seen a decrease in the population from all of these animals. Here you have a car that you can flip over. You'll see the difference from 1979 and 2005. How the ice is melted. Please pass it around. Thank you. Now last but definitely not least, as I said, we've heard now all these bad things, all these effects. What can we do against global warming? Well, it's mainly about using less energy. We burn so much carbon dioxide, so much energy from the ground, and oil and all the stuff that releases carbon dioxide in the air. How can we decrease that, and how we can get energy from a different source? For example, the sun. We can definitely use more public transportations. For example, trains, trams. Basically, why? Because it's more efficient than a car per person. You can also just bike. I like to bike personally. You can also walk. It's not a long distance. You can use electric powered vehicles. I chose the BMW i8. I just thought it's a cool car that represents the change to electric powered vehicles. It shows that not only cars that are powered by gasoline or diesel have power and look stylish, but also electric powered vehicles can do the same. It'd be just as cool. Yes, use energy from the sun with solar panels. They have been quite expensive, but the prices are going down, and the owners that have solar panels on the roof are going up, so that's a good thing. Use LED light bulbs. That's an easy way to save energy. Why? Because they use less energy than normal light bulbs. So that's an easy way. Eat less meat. Some of you maybe can't do that. I know it's delicious, I can understand that. But just by decreasing your amount of beef, if you would just eat less beef, you would already do a good cause to our earth. Beef creates 5 times more global carbon dioxide than any other meat. It also takes 15,000 liters just to create 1 kilogram of beef, and a lot of food that goes to those animals to raise them and then make them change it into meat. There are around 701 million starving people, and the US alone could feed 800 million people just with the grain they feed the animals to eat. Recycling is an easy way. It's also cheaper for you. Instead of always buying new things, just recycling it. There's also a lot of trash, plastic that's thrown away. Whales have died because of trash in the oceans. Cows have died because people threw it out in the grass. So also for the animals, it's a good cause to recycle more. Food waste, I think that's the easiest, in my opinion, to save energy. They say just use a smaller plate, and you'll eat less. I usually take a second portion, but really just buy the things you need. In America, this goes to Americans, they usually waste 1/3 of all the foods that they buy. So we just try to buy all you need, go to local stores. Don't drive too far if you don't need to. Also, if you waste it, like those Americans, 1/3 gets wasted. Refrigerator cools it down. That's again wastes energy. Then they throw it away in the garbage. The truck drives to the landfill. That's where they have all the trash there decomposes, and the decomposition of food also releases methane. And last, this is not referring to saving energy, but saving our trees. They take our carbon dioxide and provide us with oxygen. So they're wonderful, and it would be very nice if we could support them instead of cutting them all down just for money. So you can also support a platform or organization, for example, like standfortrees.org. They fight for deforestation. That's cutting down the trees, like I said, for money. That was my presentation about global warming. I have a short movie that I thought might be interesting. So, yeah, enjoy.